LawzMarketplace.com, the site where the tribes unite. Check out fresh Israelite apparel for both men and women, with new items added frequently. Don't forget to join the marketplace so you can promote your own products and services. Kwam Yasha'Allah.
Shalom, family. The soul food topic on tonight is get your mind right. This will be part 2. Last time we talked about the lust of the eye. Now we're going to deal with the lust of the flesh, in accordance to 1 John 2:16, which says that the lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, the pride of life, these things are of the world, they are not of the Father. So we're talking about what things cause us to go off and what things are needed on a spiritual level to help us get our mind right, to help us dissolve of these wicked tendencies, that we might walk upright and keep the commandments of God. So first I'm going to go to the book of James chapter 1 verses 14 through 16. I'll read that myself. So the book of James chapter 1 verses 14 through 16. We have to labor to walk upright, and in order to do that, we have to get our mind right. We have to have a righteous mind. All right, the book of James, chapter 1, verses 14 through 16. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Verse 15. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Verse 16. Do not err, my beloved brethren. So we're talking about getting our mind right. So before we commit evil deeds, the evil thought comes first. Okay, so in order to stop us from committing evil deeds, we have to challenge ourselves mentally, okay, in our heart or in our mind, okay? So the scripture here is saying, okay, every man when he is tempted, he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So before any lust or the sin of lust is committed, right, in the members, it happens in your mind, it happens in your heart. Every man is drawn away. Every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So when that evil lust that dwells on the inside of him is activated, then he is enticed and he is drawn away. He is tempted. And if that's not checked, it's going to lead towards death, leads towards sin. So if he sees a young lady that he finds attractive, right, and he begins to lust after her, because we're dealing now with the lust of the flesh. If he sees a young lady and he is attracted to her physically, sexually, and that lust is in his heart, and he doesn't deal with it, and he allows his mind to dwell on that and fantasize about her and all these different things, it's going to lead to lust. Okay? That doesn't mean that that very moment he's going to grab her up and try to rape her. I'm not saying that. But that will lead to a lifestyle of lust. Okay? It'll lead to just the thinking further on those thoughts. It'll lead to masturbation. It'll lead to pornography. It'll lead to fornication. It'll lead to, if you're married, going outside of the marriage and performing adultery. Not just in your mind, but physically, because those thoughts have not been tempered. They have not been restrained. Okay? So, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. So when that lust that's on the inside is conceived, it bringeth forth sin. So it happens on the outside. When it is finished, bringeth forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Okay? From there, let us go to Proverbs chapter 6 and read verses 23 through 29. Y'all have you read that. Again, that is the book of Proverbs chapter 6 verses 23 through 29. So we want to know, how do we get our mind right? So when we're dealing with the lust of the flesh, right? Whether men or women, these are very real things. These are not things to push under the rug. These are not things to act as though they don't happen and we're not challenged and enticed with these things. We're flesh, okay? And we're tempted on every side when it comes to the lust of the flesh. For men, especially now in this day and age, when you look outside and you see the way our women, especially the daughters of Zion, are dressed. They're dressed provocatively. They're dressed you know, very lewdly, lasciviously. Okay, they you know, the cleavage is showing. You know, they're wearing, like we were just talking about not too long ago, everything is spandex, whether it's spandex pants, spandex shorts, or spandex jumpers. Okay, and the women don't even have to have a nice figure in order to wear these spandex outfits, dresses, whatever. It's all skin tight. And you can try to be as upstanding as a man and try to keep yourself, but you're going to see it. Behinds and thighs and legs and breasts and everywhere, just hanging out. So it's very important. And then not only that, for the women, they're being tempted because now the fashions of the men are being more effeminized. Everything is tight. Okay? The shorts are way above the knee. Okay, they're showing off more of the thigh for the man. They're more tight. They're showing off his male bump. You know what I'm saying? Accentuating a man's behind. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. The shirts are tight, showing off a man's chest and arms. So it could be just as tempting for the women because the men, they're sagging their pants. I don't know how attractive that is to a woman, but nevertheless, his behind is showing, so that might do something. Okay? Just like a woman's breast is showing, that does something for a man. So men and women, we're being tempted on every side. Okay? But we must learn how to avoid the lusts of the flesh, that we might please the Most High God. So Proverbs chapter 6, verses 23 through 29. Go ahead.
For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
Meaning, pay close attention to the word of God, that it might help aid you in doing that which is right. Okay? This is instruction for your life. Don't make light of these things. Don't make light of the commandments. Don't make light of the precepts. But pay close attention and meditate on these things. Read.
To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman.
So these commandments are a lamp unto you, are a light to a young man, so that he might stay himself from evil and not fall into the snare that a strange woman might set for him. And when I say strange, that can either be of the other nations, these white women that are wholeheartedly are coming after our men, and our men are falling for it, or just a hoish woman. Strange woman can mean either of another nation or a prostitute, a harlot. Okay? Read.
Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids.
So last time we read in Psalms that David said, Let not my eyes behold vanity, but quicken me in the way. Because we know that David had sinned against the Most High, and first of all, beholding Bathsheba when she was showering on the rooftop, right? So going back to James chapter 1, all right, every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So David was drawn away of his own lust and enticed by Bathsheba's nakedness, her beauty. He said, bring her to me. And he laid with her. And then as scripture goes on to say in James, that when lust is conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Okay? And literally for David, he laid down, committed adultery with that young lady, got her pregnant, and that child was killed. The Most High did not spare his life, but he was put to death. The child, that is. Okay? But it's saying here also in Proverbs chapter 6 that these instructions, okay, are supposed to lead you away from evil and giving you practical application as to avoid the flattering eyelids of a strange woman. Okay? What did it say here? 25. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart. Neither let her take thee with her eyelids. So you have to avoid her. Physically remove yourself from her vicinity in order to keep yourself from lust. Because her desire is to get as many men to fall into her snare as possible. So you must avoid her in order to avoid her snare, in order to avoid entanglement spiritually. You got to avoid her. You can't be around a strange woman, a whorish woman, and expect to keep yourself, young man. If you're trying to keep the commandments of God, you cannot be around whorish women. And that's meaning physically or digitally, if you want to say that, through, pornography or anything like that. You must keep yourself from her. She is a snare unto you. Read.
Verse 26. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread.
Salakia. So a whorish woman will bring a strong man to a piece of bread, meaning he will be nothing. He will be useless. Meaning she's going to consume him. He's going to be in her hand like silly putty. He will be like food. She will devour him. The woman won't follow after the man, but the man will follow after the woman. He will lust after her. And so whatever she asks him to do, he'll do it. Because he wants her. He wants her sex. He wants her love. He wants whatever it is that she has to offer. He will be as a piece of bread. And she will consume him as a morsel. Read.
Verse 26 again. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life.
He will hunt you down. She will hunt you down. The adulteress will hunt you down. So if you are in her sights, she gonna hunt you down. So that's why it's important to avoid her. Avoid her. Don't make any eye contact with her. Don't hold any conversations with her. She will hunt you down and eat you like a piece of bread. She will eat you like some Edmonds pound cake. She gonna eat you up. She's a man eater. Read on.
Verse 27. Can a man take fire in his bosom?
So like, can a man take fire in his bosom? Can you light a flame and hug it? Read.
And his clothes not be burned?
So can a man hug a fiery flame and not have his clothes burned or his skin burned? Not be harmed? Not do damage? Read.
Verse 28. Can one go upon hot coals and his feet not be burned? Verse 29. So he that goeth in to his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her shall not be innocent.
So just as you can't hug fire and you can't run upon hot coals without it burning you and doing you much harm, in the same way, if you touch another man's wife, you will not be seen as innocent in the eyes of God. You are guilty. You are guilty. So that woman, that married woman, she has lust in her heart. She's not content with her husband. Don't think it's just you. Don't think you so fine that she only, flirting with you. She's flirting with whoever fits her fancy. Don't get in your mind to think that you special. She willing to leave her husband for just you. She's going to mess around with whoever, she will open her quiver to any arrow, as the scripture says. She is an adulteress who will hunt you down and take away the precious life. You are as a morsel of bread. Avoid her. Avoid her battering eyelids, her flattering words. Avoid her beauty. She is a lustful, whorish woman. She's no good. And she will only make your life miserable. You will have a moment of pleasure, but then you will be miserable thereafter. And you will be deemed guilty before the Most High God. Okay? From there, let us go to 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 25 through 27. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 25 through 27.
Through 27?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 25 through 27. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things.
Salakia. So every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. So in general, if a man seeks to be great at anything, he's temperate in all things, meaning he's disciplined in every aspect of his craft or skill in order to be great. Okay? If you aspire to be a great musician, okay, you just don't practice or rehearse every so often. You rehearse every day, very frequently. You look to improve your skills and your ability. You hone your craft. You learn from the greats. That's how you become great. You're temperate in everything. All right, you don't go out drinking and smoking every night if you want to retain your impeccable vocal cords. You have to train them and eat right and just train your voice. Because if you drink heavily and smoke heavily, it will begin to put a strain on your voice and your talents will be diminished. But he that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. So even in carnal matters, if you want to be great at anything, you got to be disciplined. You got to put in the work. So even where spiritual things are concerned, you must be temperate. You must have self-control. You must be disciplined in every aspect of that area that you might be great at. Okay, read.
Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown.
So they do it for carnal things. Read.
But we an incorruptible.
So we're striving for a mastery that leadeth unto eternal life. So we must be temperate in spiritual things. And all spiritual things. Not just I'm spiritual here, but then I'm carnal over here. For we read before last time, was it Romans chapter 8, that to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. The carnal mind is enmity with the Most High God, meaning it's in opposition. You can't be carnally minded and expect to do the will of God, so you must be temperate in every aspect of your life. So if you find that you're carnal in any area, you got to fix that and become temperate. You must discipline yourself and rid yourself of the carnal tendencies, that you might have a spiritual mind and be pleasing to God. So whether it be the lust of the eye, material gain, and looking at these different things, envious, covetousness, all these different things that we spoke about last time, the lust of the flesh, or whether it be the pride of life, you must be temperate in all things in order to strive for the mastery, which is to be upright and to inherit the kingdom. You must be temperate in every aspect, all three of these components. You must be temperate. Okay, read.
Verse 26. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air.
Meaning I don't do this for no reason. Read.
But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway.
So again, Apostle Paul is giving here practical application as to how to avoid these different areas that might be a weakness, that might be, a cause of stumbling for us, whether it be in the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, or the pride of life. He says, I keep under my body. I have to get my mind right. How do you keep under your body? Okay, through prayer, through fasting, through meditation, through the studying of His Word, through applying what we read in Psalms last time, or what we read in Proverbs tonight, and that you keep yourself from these things. You can't, if you know that you struggle in a certain area, you don't dabble in that area or be in close proximity to that and expect, to refrain from doing that evil. You must remove yourself totally. If you were delivered from doing drugs, if you were a drug addict, okay, and you were delivered from that, you don't hang around people who still do drugs. Okay? You don't go into those environments where there are people that do those drugs. You have to remove yourself totally from it. Keep under your body. Remove yourself from it, and then you take on those practical applications. We read also last time in 2 Corinthians 10, where it says that The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yah to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations. Every high thing that it's exalted itself against the knowledge of God, bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Mashiach. So you have to rid yourself of these thoughts. Keep under your body. You have to be temperate in all things. Be disciplined in every aspect. You have to monitor all of these different areas of your life. And be very careful not to fall into sin. Because Apostle Paul is saying, I do this and I'm very careful so that I am not viewed as a hypocrite. Or ultimately, that I'm doing all this stuff and preaching to people and telling them what they should do. And then I myself, I lose the kingdom. That would be useless. To live this life trying to be righteous, trying to be holy, and then fall away and be destroyed because I sinned myself. I was intemperate in all things. I wasn't striving for the mastery, for that incorruptible crown. I didn't stay under my body. I didn't cast down imaginations. I didn't bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Mashiach. I didn't avoid the whorish woman. Okay? I did not beware of covetousness, as Christ said unto the young man who said, hey, my brother is not giving me the part of the inheritance. He said, beware of covetousness. You got to be temperate in all these things. Get your mind right. Because before it comes to the deeds you perform in your hands and your members, it starts in your mind. You got to deal with the mind. Okay? Okay, that was 27. Our last passage, we're going to read from the Testament of REUBEN. Now, I know many people not ascribe to pseudepigrapha and these other additional books, but what we're going to read where it pertains to the lust of the flesh, I think is very important. Okay? Very wise words, words that we can use as men as well as women, okay, to stay ourselves from the lust of the flesh. So I'm going to go to the Testament of REUBEN and read in here, at least in this edition, it will be chapter 4 and 5. So it'll be a little lengthy, but I think it's very, very important information for us to hearken to. Okay? So the Testament of REUBEN and the pseudepigrapha. Okay, these are additional books. Okay? I'm going to read chapter 4 and 5. All right? And it reads, do not devote your attentions to the beauty of women, my children, nor occupy your minds with their activities. So, a little background. It appears as though Reuben, while they were in the land of Egypt, the patriarchs, Jacob's 12 sons, Reuben here was drawing to the end of his life. And he gathered all of his children, okay? All of the Reubenites, those that came from his loins, he gathered them around, his children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and he wanted to impart unto them words of wisdom before he passed on from this life. And these are some of the things that he spoke about, because we understand according to Genesis that Reuben sinned a great sin and fell into lust when he beheld his father's wife, his concubine, right, and laid with her, and committed great treachery and great sin and lust in doing so. So he repented of it, but his father it appears here in these writings that his father, didn't quite look at his son the same. He forgave him, but never looked at him the same. And he put Bilhah away, right? But he was very remorseful, Reuben that is, and he wanted to teach his sons and his sons' sons what they must do in order to avoid the great sin of lust that he performed, okay? So he was speaking about lust here in chapter 4 and 5. So again, do not devote your attention to the beauty of women, my children, nor occupy your minds with their activities, but live in integrity of heart and the fear of Yahweh, and weary yourselves in good deeds, okay? So in order to keep yourself from lust, you must do that which is good. Don't leave yourself unoccupied, saying, okay, well, I ain't think about women, I ain't think about lust, I'm good. No, you have to fill your heart and your mind with doing the will of God in order to stay your mind from doing that which is evil and lustful, okay? And weary yourselves in good deeds, in learning, and in tending your flocks, until Yahweh give you the mate whom he wills, so that you do not suffer as I did. So for young men, there are many young men that I see, like on Facebook, who speak about their loneliness, right? And say, man, I want a wife. It's kind of nice to hear young men talk like that, especially young men, because, you know, the narrative is always pushed that men are just players, you know, they just, you know, hit it and quit it. You know, they not looking to settle down. They don't want a family, you know, they just want to have as many women as they can. And so to hear a young man especially in his 20s, to talk about they're lonely and they want a wife, that's very commendable. But a lot of them, unfortunately, because our women, and even for our women, the men, because I don't want to leave the women out, there are young women who are feeling lonely because they want a husband. And the only men they seem to run into is knuckleheads, niggas. Okay? And the young men who are trying to be men, they want a wife. But the only women they seem to run into is hoes, bots, niggerettes. Okay? And it's saddening to hear that they are feeling so low because they're having to go this journey alone. They want a wife. But Reuben is saying to his sons, occupy yourself with good deeds. Keep the will of God. That's on a spiritual level. But then even on a carnal level, focus on tending to your flocks, getting a job, starting a business, going to school. Occupy yourself in that until the Most High grants you the wife you're supposed to have. Don't go out here trying to get your wife, okay, by any means necessary. Just be patient. The Most High God will bring your wife to you, even for the women. Occupy yourselves in good deeds. Keep the commandments. Work your job. If you're a single mother and you have children from a past relationship, now that you come into the truth, you're trying to be discreet, modest. You're not out here running the streets. Okay? Tend to your children, and the Most High God in due season will bring you your husband. But don't be out here trying to be thirsty, trying to get a wife, trying to get a husband. Just wait and be patient, okay? So that you don't suffer as I did. Because if you are hyped up on hormones and emotions, and you horny, and you want to satisfy that lust, and you're not occupying yourself in spiritual matters, and you're carnally minded, like James says, when lust is conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. You don't want to do what Reuben did because he was filled with lust. You don't want to fall into adultery. You do not want to fall into fornication. So you must occupy yourselves in doing the will of God and tending to your flocks. And in that meaning, have a job, work your job, have a business, start your business, tend to your business, tend to your family, and in due season the Most High will bring you your mate, okay? For until my father's death, I never had the courage to look him in the face or speak to any of my brothers because of my disgraceful act. Even until now, my conscience harasses me because of my impious act. And yet my father consoled me greatly and prayed to Yahweh in my behalf, so that Yahweh's anger would pass me by, which is just how Yahweh treated me. From that time until now, I have kept a careful watch and have not sinned. So he felt ashamed because of the evil that he committed against his father, himself, Bilhah, and the Most High God. So then, my children, observe all the things that I command you, and do not sin, for the sin of promiscuity is the pitfall of life, separating man from God, and leading on towards idolatry, because it is a deceiver of the mind and the perceptions, and leads youth down to hell before their time. So that's why you are to eschew evil and avoid masturbation, avoid pornography, promiscuity, youthful sex, kissing and hugging in the days of your youth. That will only lead to death. It perverts the mind. It leads your soul to hell. Okay? For promiscuity has destroyed many. Whether a man is old, well-born, rich or poor, He brings on himself disgrace among mankind and provides Balaar or the devil with an opportunity to cause him to stumble. These are the same things Solomon said unto his son in Proverbs. Son, avoid these things. Avoid the whorish woman. She will view you as bread. She will consume you. She will bring your soul to hell. Stay far away from her. Occupy yourselves in doing the will of God. Meditate upon his commandments. They are a lamp and a light unto your soul. Okay? You heard how Joseph protected himself from a woman and purified his mind from all promiscuity. He found favor before God and men. For the Egyptian woman did many things to him, summoned magicians and brought potions for him. But his soul's deliberation rejected evil desire. Even if you read the book of Yasher, it goes into great detail as to the account in Genesis and where Joseph was tempted by Potiphar's wife, where Yasher describes her as Angelica, and all of the methods she used to try to win him over because she was smitten by his great beauty. Joseph was fine. That brother was Boris Kojo, Morris Chestnut, Idris Elba, and any other handsome black man combined. His beauty excelled all of theirs. Joseph was fine, and she was smitten with his beauty. Potiphar was nothing to her. She had to have him. But the point of it being that Joseph maintained his integrity and not allow promiscuity and lust to have him to fall into the snare of adultery with his master's wife. He maintained his integrity until the wife that the Most High desired for him to have came unto him. Many women wanted Joseph. It wasn't just Potiphar's wife. Many women wanted him, but he maintained his integrity. And Reuben makes mention of it here in the writings. For this reason, the God of our fathers rescued him from every visible or hidden death. For if promiscuity does not triumph over your reason, then neither can Beliar conquer you, meaning the devil. So if you get your mind right, and you're, as the scripture says, temperate in all things, striving for the mastery, for that incorruptible crown, then you will not fall victim to these snares that the devil sets for you. You got to be like Joseph, okay? Chapter 5. For women are evil, my children, and by reason of their lacking authority or power over men, they scheme treacherously how they might entice him to themselves by means of their looks. So a woman is not physically stronger than a man. So if a woman wants a man physically, she can't rape him. She can't grab him and yank him off the street and take him behind the building and physically, overtake a man and pull his pants down and rape him. A woman can't do that. So she has to use her wily cunnings in order to entice a man by her beauty. And it ain't just her face. She uses her curves, her voluptuous figure, to entice him and ensnare him, to reel him in. She uses these things. That's why men, we must be very careful. Very, very careful. She can't use a stick and beat us on top of the head and rape us, but she can use her beauty to ensnare us. And whomever they cannot enchant by their appearance, they conquer by a stratagem, meaning another strategy or method. Indeed, the angel of Yahweh told me and instructed me that women are more easily overcome by the spirit of promiscuity than are men. Okay? So women are the weaker vessel. So the Spirit told Reuben that women are more sexually driven than men are. Okay? They are. And if you see what our women are doing today, you can see how evident these things are. Okay? They are more given to promiscuity than the men. Okay? They contrive in their hearts against men. Then by decking themselves out, they lead men's minds astray. So by wearing them spandex dresses and spandex pants and spandex shorts with the camel toe and your thighs and your hips and your behind jiggling and swaying as you switch and sway down the street It entices a man because it draws a man's mind away. He can be with his girl. Okay, he can be with his kids, minding his own business. And then this woman comes out the house saying, you know, she'll say, I didn't dress like this for nobody. I do this for myself. You don't walk out the house dressing like a whore, okay, just for yourself. You do this to gain attention. You don't come out in a polka dot tie-dye spandex shorts with a halter top showing off your belly ring and your booty flopping and flinging all over the place and some high heels talking about you only did this for yourself. With eyelashes way up here and long fingernails and long weave down your back. Neon pink weave way down your back. You didn't do that just for you. You did it to be seen of men. And when you walk and you switch and you do all these things, a man's eyes can't help but look. I tell you what, a woman can't help but look. And she can be straight and not be concerned with no, but if she say a booty bouncing, she's going to look too. Like, what in the world? They do this to be seen of men. Hey, to even be seen of women. Okay? So if they can't catch you by their looks, so if they shaking their booty and they moving and they swinging their weave around and batting them long ostrich eyelashes and can't get you there and can't get you, oh, what's good, shorty, can I get your number? If they can't get a rise out of you with that, they'll try another way. They'll try to give you compliments. Your hair looks nice. I like the way you're dressing. You know, this or that. I like this or like that. They'll do anything to try to get you to show them the attention because they're doing this for you. But don't think you're the only one, young man. Her job is to ensnare as many men as possible. She, just like a fisherman, right? When he gets his fishing rod, he goes out. Is he only trying to get one fish? If possible, he's trying to get as many fish as possible. So when he throws the fishing rod out there, I don't care who it is. I'm trying to get a fish. I'm going to reel it in. And when I bring in one, hey, I'm going to bring in another. And another and another. So if she can get you, she's not satisfied. She wants another and another and another. So keep yourself from the whorish woman. This is not wife material. You don't want her to be your wife. She's a whore. And the same thing for the discreet woman that desires a husband. If he's a whoremonger, stay away from him. He's a whore. He's no good. Stay away from him. Okay? By a look, they implant their poison. And finally, in the act itself, they take them captive. So when they bat them eyelids and they act like they're not looking at you, but then when they walk past, they turn back. They do that intentionally to plant their poison. They want to see, will you be ensnared? Did you fall for the bait? Because I switched and I swung that booty around, so I want you to see. Remember we just watched Girlfriends? Oh, now I'm going to see what you done is missing. So she bends over so he can see her butt. So women do this intentionally. I want to see if you're going to fall for the bait. You going to fall for this booty? And he could be with his girl and be like, hey, look at that. I want to hit that. She know that she got him. She's implanted her poison. Don't let this young lady work at his job. Don't let this young lady live near him. Don't let this young lady be close to some of the friends he hang out with. Don't let this young lady somehow slip into his social circle. Don't let it happen, because she gonna find her way in his pants. Find her way in his bedroom. Find her way into his life. Because she know, I'm reeling them in. Reeling them in. Okay? Let's be real about it. For a woman is not able to coerce a man overtly, but by a harlot's manner she accomplishes her villainy. So again, a woman cannot physically overtake a man and rape him, so she uses her cunning. She uses her villainy. She uses her lustful, lascivious ways, her lewd ways to entrap a man who's already led astray of his own lust. A strong man like Joseph, all that booty shaking and long eyelash flapping ain't gonna do nothing. If anything, a righteous man will be repulsed by that and like, She'll fling her booty back and forth, up and down, and twerk and shake her booty all over the place. Like, man, like, go somewhere with that, man. Go somewhere with that. And she's confounded, like, he don't like that? I'm shaking this booty all around and he don't like it? What's wrong? He must be gay. He must be gay. No, I'm not gay. I just don't want any woman that I want to make a wife out here twerking in the middle of in the public. Twerking videos. That's all you do is twerk. You and your girls go and just like twerk mobs. You just in public, just stop at the stop sign, just get out the car and start twerking and popping your butt. What? That's not a woman that I want. A man who's like Joseph, upstanding and righteous and keeps himself, that's not attractive. That's not appeasing to me. That's not appeasing. Okay? But that woman is confounded. She don't know, so she'll try to use another strategy. She thinks complimenting him will make him fall. No. Real quick, you know, I'm watching Godfather of Harlem. Very good show. But Malcolm X, you know, shows up a lot in this show. So, you know, there's a young lady who actually is Bumpy Johnson. He's the main character in the show. Bumpy Johnson's daughter, she was strung out on drugs. She got herself together. She became a Muslim and started to admire Malcolm X, you know, because of his charisma and his way of being. And one of the other Muslim women there, who was more tenured, was saying, be very careful, okay, watch yourself. Because I see a lot of women get mesmerized by him. But that flirting doesn't move him, okay? Malcolm was a very upstanding man. He loved his wife and was faithful to his wife. And I'm sure there were many Muslim women who saw Malcolm and found him to be attractive. And if it wasn't just his physical features, it was his charisma, it was his eloquent speech, it was his aura, it was his way. He had a certain way about him that made men admire him and women fall in love with him. And he said, be very careful. That doesn't sway him. So a Joseph-like aspect about him. He's faithful to his wife. He's not thinking about these women. So you trying to get up close and flirt and say, Brother Malcolm, you know, your speech was very nice. Yeah, okay, sister. Yeah, that's very nice. And go, you know, he's not concerned with that. And that's how we must be as men and even as women. Don't let the brother that come and say, you know, Shalom, sister, you know, you real pretty and you're dressed right now. You know what I'm saying? Women, don't fall for that. That brother trying to run game. That brother trying to run game, but tend to your flocks. Meaning, keep the commandments of God. If you have children, tend to your children. If you have a job, work your job. If you're going to school, go to school. If you got a business, keep your business. When the Most High bring your husband or your wife, it'll come. And you'll be well pleased with the gift that the Most High will grant you. Let me finish this chapter real quick and call it a day. Let's see here. Accordingly, my children, flee from sexual promiscuity, and order your wives and your daughters not to adorn their heads and their appearances so as to deceive men's sound mind. So Reuben was teaching his sons, look, tell your wives and your daughters, don't be dressing like a whore out here. Don't be decking themselves like a harlot, like a thot. Dress modestly so that they do not lead men's minds astray. Talking about I love my husband, but you walking out the house in spandex shorts. That's not the apparel of a faithful wife. That's whorish attire. And I don't get men who say it's okay for your wife to come out with the camel toe. I don't get how that's acceptable to you. But some of these women have compassed you in authority, and so when you say anything to try to reprimand her in her way of dress, she gonna let you have it. And you say, okay, you got it. All right. If you want to come out with lingerie chainmail, I can't stop you. She want to come out with just beads on. Nothing, just beads on. And talking about that's an outfit. And you talking about, baby, you know, shouldn't you cover? You better shut the, I can do whatever I want. I'm a grown woman. You can't tell me. Wagging the finger. All right, baby, you can do whatever you want. You can wear just some beads if you want. So Reuben was telling his sons, look, tell your wives and your daughters, dress modestly. Don't dress like a whore. Okay? For every woman who schemes in these ways is destined for eternal punishment. For it was thus that they charmed the watchers who were before the flood. Okay, so many believe that the angels did not come down. But they did. And the women went astray. And they enticed the watchers. And they fell. Okay? Who were before the flood. As they continued looking at the women, they were filled with desire from them and perpetrated the acts in their minds. Then they were transformed into human males. And while the women were cohabiting with their husbands, they appeared to them. Since the women's minds were filled with lust for these apparitions, they gave birth to giants. For the watchers were disclosed to them as being as high as the heavens. Okay? So, the main point being not to give place to these women. Keep yourselves from it. Okay? So, we're going to leave it there. And next time we're going to focus on the pride of life. So we dealt with the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life we'll deal with next time. So we have to learn to keep the commandments, to eschew evil, to cleave to that which is good, so that we get our minds right.